Alrighty, hey, good afternoon, everybody. Happy Monday, October 6, 2025. We're coming at you live from the Digital Weather Center here at News 6 because we have heavy amounts of rain piling up. The accumulations are easily overachieving 3, 4, 5 inches in some spots, and National Weather Service has been prompted to issue a flash flood warning for northern portions of Brevard County. So I wanted to get on camera to walk you through everything that we have going on right now. This is what the live radar looks like for eastern central Florida. You can see the flash flood warning in question there active for the upper portions of Melbourne near Titusville, Merritt Island, and Port St. John, where some of our heaviest rainfall is coming down right now. And when I say the rain rates on these cells, these pockets of rainfall, whether they be showers, steady state rains, or even these thunderstorms that we've been seeing rocking through our area since the start of the day today, these rainfall accumulations, the rates within these thunderstorms is very impressive. If I switch you over to the actual rainfall detection here that our live Doppler radar will give to us, if you take a look down in this general area, let me go ahead and query a couple spots. In the last 3 hours, we've had 2 inches, 2.5 inches piling up in portions of Brevard. Near Kennedy Space Center, we've gotten about 2 inches. Northern portions of Brevard County coming in at about 2.5 in just the last 3 hours. There are very isolated spots that are receiving, actually, believe it or not, 3, 4, if not approaching 5 inches at this time. I pulled up the watch warning and advisory, the WWA breakdown from National Weather Service, and I want to read off the narrative to you, especially if you are tuning in from eastern central Florida. At 12:59 p.m., so this just happened moments ago. I was actually in the studio shooting a bit of a social media digital update to get you all abreast of the situation that's happening today. They went on to mention that Doppler radar indicated thunderstorms producing heavy rain across the warned area. You could see directly impacting Titusville and Mims. I will zoom you on down in to get a bit of a closer look here momentarily, but it says between 2.5 to 4 inches of rain have already fallen. Mind you, we've been seeing bouts of persistent rainfall for the last 3, 4, almost 5 days now. So add an additional 2 to 4 inches of rain on top of what's already fallen, and the grounds are very saturated. The rain really has nowhere else to go besides piling up on top of itself. Additional rainfall amounts of approximately 1 to 2 inches are expected to fall. Flash flooding in this area is ongoing or expected to begin shortly. So it's definitely a very serious situation. We previously had aerial flood advisories issued for the same general spot as these training showers and heavier rainfall bouts continue to move in over Brevard, southern Volusia, into Orange and Osceola County. This is going to be a persistent afternoon-long setup, to tell you the truth. If I zoom us out, let me get you off the queries real quick. Let's zoom out before I zoom you back in. Let me get that little chiclet out of the way. If you notice, off our east coast, we've got a lot more rainfall headed in our direction. I'll give you a 30-minute loop here and take you full screen so we can all take a look at this together as a group. So Osceola and southern Brevard last night saw some gratuitous amounts of rain falling. Started at around 8:30 yesterday evening and then continued on till after our 11 o'clock newscast. To put it into perspective, just how much rainfall has been coming down. And when you look well off our east coast, we have more and more rain coming in. And what's different about today's setup is the fact that we actually have more towering groups of thunderstorms coming in. When I say towering groups, if you all recall, over the weekend and maybe Thursday and Friday of last week, you did see fast-moving showers, fast-moving areas of rain through your area, or maybe you didn't. Some of you managed to dodge it, but a lot of us did not. If you recall, it did get dark outside. The clouds looked very spooky, very Halloween-esque, I guess you could say, but you didn't quite hear very much thunder or lightning. And that's because everything was moving so fast, it really didn't have time, nor did we have the ability to garner that vertical extent we typically look for stronger thunderstorms with higher rain rates. The fact that we have thunderstorms consistently moving through right now, look at Titusville and Port St. John are being bathed by lightning strikes right now. Within the last couple of minutes, we've had anywhere between 50 to 70 lightning strikes, according to our radar data here. So these are actually producing even higher amounts of rain in a short period of time. I'll zoom you back down in so we can all take a closer look at where it is we're seeing our heaviest rainfall right now, and I'll get my face out of the way so we can decipher it together. Let's switch you back over to our actual rainfall totals. Let's look at the flash flood criteria and see what we can find here. So it does look like right now the St. John's area continues to see the flash flooding risk primarily. They are at a moderate flood stage right now, and that's also a combination of these heavy rains we've witnessed for the last several days, but also the easterly wind component that has just been hammering the Atlantic coast of Florida. It's literally bullying water into the mouth of the St. John's, and as a result, the St. John's River is starting to spill over, and we are expecting that to continue for at least another 2, 3, maybe 4 days at a time, because the corridor of winds that we have out there right now, the direction is not expected to change up in that short of time. Let's move over to the rain rates. So this is what I wanted to really show you here. If you notice, it looks like we've got a little bit of good news. Earlier on, the rain rates were much higher. And if you notice in the top right-hand corner there, the legend, you have your moderate amounts of rain highlighted by the lighter minty colors to the darker green shades. And then you have your extreme rainfall rates, which would mean that we are piling up water rapidly. Taking a quick assessment earlier before shooting a video in the actual weather center, I noticed within an hour we were piling up anywhere between 1 approaching 3 inches of rainfall. I'll go ahead and stop the clock so we can query some extra spots here. Look at that. 5 inches, 5.4 inches per hour in some of these spots, 7.2 inches per hour in some of these areas, these very, very isolated clusters of dense downpours that are ongoing. If you are on the road right now as well, this is going to be a very hazardous situation. We've unfortunately already had a fatal accident earlier this morning up in the Sanford area, all thanks to the hazardous road conditions we have out there. And this is before the heavier stuff really started to push inland. So it goes to show, thankfully, right about now, about 1:25, I'd imagine a lot of you who are able to tune in, or for those of you who will be watching after the fact, you're probably settled in, whether you're at the office, at school, somewhere right now. And typically, we're not doing too much in the way of commuting at 1:30 in the afternoon on a Monday, but I know it is Central Florida. There's a lot of us out there, so if you are traveling through portions of Volusia, easternmost Seminole, Orange County, even northeastern Osceola County, even though we've kind of tilted the angle with which these showers and rains are coming in. Yesterday it was Osceola's turn. Today definitely seems more of an Orange, Seminole, Brevard, and southern Volusia type event. These are very, very dense columns of rain. Visibility is going to drop if you're out there. We probably are still seeing those gusty winds ripping in from the east coast across interior portions of Brevard and Volusia County, anywhere between 15 to 25 miles an hour. Even earlier this morning here in downtown Orlando, where our studio is, I stepped outside and I'm over here like, whoa, I just did my hair and everything's blowing around. And that was far before the rains even started out there. Okay, so a bit of a fire hose, no pun intended, of information there. We're going to keep up with you at least for another 10 to 20 minutes on News 6 Plus. Thank you for tuning in. And then for our folks over there on the YouTube channel, thank you so much for joining this afternoon as well. I hope despite the rains and the on and off storms that we endured Saturday and Sunday, you managed to take advantage of the weekend to the best of your ability. So let's see. We are continuing to move out of Titusville. Titusville and portions of Mims are seeing our heaviest batches of rainfall right now. And it does look like the thunder and lightning with these cells is starting to diminish as well, which is good news. That would tell me, from a forecasting perspective, we're starting to weaken. We're raining ourselves out. We can determine that by taking a look at, believe it or not, let's see here. I want to look at the hail. Nope, that's not going to do it for us. What I really want to find is the vertically integrated liquid is what it's called. Let's see. Do we have that on here somewhere? Let me go back on this side and see if I can find it really quick for you all. There we go. So this is going to be your vertically integrated liquid. This is usually a very helpful tool for determining how tall a thunderstorm is and how strong an updraft is. And in this case, what I'm looking for here is to see whether or not these values are diminishing. So yeah, it's very difficult for you to pick up on. Let me turn the lightning off so we can take a look together. But if you watch through the radar loop, you see how there were some brighter shades of magenta and purple there, but now they're starting to dissipate. We're getting into the darker shades again. That tells me that we are starting to rain out, which means that those columns of very intense rainfall that that we showed you in the rainfall rates are beginning to slow. Hopefully that is the case as this moves into portions of Orange County, crosses into Seminole County, because it seems like you all are coming up next. Hopefully we don't continue to see the flash flood warning, let alone aerial flood advisories, trend further towards the west. So let's see. I'll take my face out of the way. We'll do a little bit more investigating together here and see what we can find. And for those of you, again, who are unaware of what an aerial flood advisory means, basically that is the non-life-threatening version of a flash flood warning. That's why it's the flood advisory. We're just advising you that even though it's nothing disastrous or catastrophic that's occurring, we do have conditions that are beginning to pile up water in areas that may cause impacts for you, especially in high traffic areas like roadways, interstates, highways, freeways, neighborhoods, urban setting, business plazas, etc. That's kind of the step down beneath the flash flood warning. The flash flood warning means that this could be a life-threatening situation if you're caught lacking your situational awareness or you don't have somebody watching your six in the midst of this. So I'm going to take you back to the rainfall rate. Let's take a look. And yeah, it definitely seems like we're starting to weaken down, which is great news. The pockets of violet and magenta are starting to dissipate, so we probably won't receive as much torrential rainfall into orange and southern Brevard, or not Brevard, I'm sorry, Seminole County. I was going to say Volusia, and then I kind of just flipped all over the map there for a second. So this is very good news. I'm going to stop the clock. Let's take a look at what our rain rates are looking like now. We'll zoom you on down into street level. It looks like Whispering Hills, Gulf Estates just came out of it. Cheney Highway is starting to see some of the heaviest stuff. Let me get the flood advisory out of the way. We'll turn that off. We don't need it on. We know what's ongoing right now. And let me go ahead and zoom you full so we can start to do some querying here. So still some very impressive rain rates out there hitting Cheney Highway. Looks like we just crossed a major roadway as well. Turn this off so we can do some panning around. Mims, you've got another small cluster of very heavy rain just off to your east. Same with JJ, LaGrange, Titusville, on and off right now. Same with Whispering Hills, Gulf Estates. Kevin Hawthorne, good to see you over on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in today. Indian River City just came out of it. Southern Titusville, South Titusville, I should say, just came out of it. And we are going to get a bit of a break. Merritt Island, Kennedy Space Center is starting to see that break now as well. But we've got more stuff well off the coast with very similar rain rates. We are getting closer to the radar, so some of this may be cut off as well. The radar may not be capturing it. And then let me zoom you back out. Let's go ahead and just take an overall look together at what we have going on out there. Today was most definitely pinpointed as one of our heaviest days for rain. This was definitely going to be the highest chance for rain we've seen with this setup and the heaviest accumulations that we could possibly see. The models definitely clued us in on this fairly well, and it's definitely happening, and this is going to continue. It's 1:31 p.m. in the afternoon right now. This will probably stick with us until the hours of about 6, 7, maybe 8 o'clock at the latest before we really start to see things washing out and these showers, the more organized columns of rain, I should say, really begin to diminish. Let me take you through a couple of things. I want to show you exactly how much rain we've gotten in just the last 24 hours. You take a look at our totals here, and we'll do a couple more queries because our station plots are missing some of the greatest batches of rainfall there. But if you look, yesterday evening is where we saw a ton of rain just piling up in portions of Osceola and southern Brevard. Right there, we just had a constant plume of rains coming in through southern Brevard off the east coast and then really intensifying as they started to meet up with some of the bodies of water between Brevard and Osceola County. It's very interesting, too. I've noticed that happening a lot with Central Florida recently because we haven't had the greatest vertical, when you think about the atmosphere in a three-dimensional layout, we haven't had the greatest column, the greatest profile, as it's called, for strong thunderstorms, let alone severe weather. So it's been very interesting to see whether it be our sea breeze or this easterly flow moving across the peninsula, taking advantage of the warmer lakes, the warmer rivers out there to try to reinvigorate some of the cells. It really hasn't been just your general afternoon heating of the day, really tapping into what instability we have out there to pop off strong storms or heavy rains. It's actually been a combination of moisture moving across the peninsula, a little bit of daytime heating, and then the warmer waters because the land itself, the surface of the land we stand on, just didn't quite make the cut. It didn't warm up to where it needed to be to produce thunderstorms as we would typically see in the state of Florida. Yesterday, in the last 24 hours, we saw upwards of 4+ inches in Osceola County. Other areas saw on average about 3.5 inches of rain. Southern Brevard saw about 3 inches. And then in the last 24 hours, we have piled up quite a bit of extensive rainfall on the northern side of Brevard. I actually have a lot of viewers who tune in with me over on the digital side near the Melbourne, Southern Brevard area, so I hope you all are doing well out there if you're managing to catch this live stream, and I hope everybody else is trying to avoid impact as much as you can with this rainy setup. You look at the last 3 days, and it pretty much paints the picture as to why we've had flood watches for Volusia and Brevard County for the last few days now. I believe National Weather Service issued, though, back on Saturday morning, first thing Saturday morning, if not very late Friday evening, carried it through all the way to tonight. They will hopefully be able to expire by about 8 o'clock this evening. We should also be done with that flash flood warning here soon, albeit we do still have those pockets of shower and better chances for rain still moving in off our east coast. But overall, this has been a very, very, very hearty setup. And I'll go ahead and leave you all with some good news before we cut the stream, get you back to your regularly scheduled programming. If you notice near Bermuda, we've got those shades of brown, yellow, mustard kind of colors. That's dry air we're waiting on here in Central Florida. Another interesting feature here that's been doubling down on the amount of moisture we have available to tap into in our local weather pattern is just off to our southeast over the Bahamas. This little guy right here was initially highlighted by National Hurricane Center. There's still a very, very weak surface low pressure spinning around in there, but because we have such strong vertical wind shear screaming in out of the west, right over top that feature, that's why National Hurricane Center is no longer confident that it will really do much. But I'm still going to keep an eye on it because as it meanders in this general direction for the next 48 to 72 hours, some of our models think it might try to tap into the lower portion of the Gulf Stream feed here in the loop current in the central Gulf that gives us the warm current up our east coast and maybe try to do a little further organizing. Models have been very back and forth with it. We'll have to see. But because of high pressure to the north, you can kind of see the high pressure yelling at you from 1,000 miles away. It's up and through here. We've got clockwise flow around the high. Moves down from the north through the east and then back down towards the south and then back through just like the hands on a traditional clock. So as this cluster of dry air moves through the southeast quadrant, eventually it'll make its way into us in Central Florida. It might not be through the day tomorrow, but definitely Wednesday we'll notice a drying trend, especially in the mid to upper levels of our local pattern, and our rain chances will really diminish, giving us a nice break from this almost pseudo false atmospheric river type setup that's been in place for the last several days. And then to give you a little more good news, our rain chances will kind of climb back up as we go through this upcoming Friday, but just in time for Saturday and especially Sunday. The American model, the European model, and a cluster of our other global computer models are showing that we will finally get our first dose of fall weather here in Central Florida. It looks like as this area continues to percolate down to the south, that cluster of disorganized showers and storms off of a decaying frontal boundary that was highlighted, that bob down there that was tagged by National Hurricane Center, it will receive a little bit of a nudge from the jet stream coming in. You can kind of see it back over portions of Nebraska, the Dakotas, Denver, Colorado. You can see that wispiness there. Let me get that first batch of ink out of your way right there. There's the jet stream. As it continues to move in this general fashion, it'll scoop down, pick that puppy up, and it'll help to kind of inject us with a bit of additional continental, cooler, drier air from up north, really dropping our rain chances for Saturday and Sunday. And some of our computer models are thinking that there's areas in central and northern Florida that may not even see 80-degree afternoon high temperatures on Saturday, but more so on Sunday. It looks like the coolest day this upcoming weekend definitely seems to be on Sunday. We'll have to see exactly what the progression of that front looks like over the next few days, and if we start to get that bubble of low pressure to really get its act together, more so on a non-tropical standpoint, and really help to coax more of that dry air down. I have a full article over on clickorlando.com breaking that down as well and kind of showing you what the parameters that are coming together that could finally bring fall and spooky season into full effect, even if it be temporarily in Central Florida. So with that being said, let me bring back over the radar very quickly. I want to see what the status of that area looks like. Let me turn my alerts back on. So yeah, you can see if I were to play a 30-minute lapse, we've really lost a lot of that heavy rain. Notice how the shades of red, the shades of orange and yellow are really starting to diminish, so that is good news. We're still going to receive, just like National Weather Service said, fully on board with that just by looking at the radar presentation here. We are still expecting to receive an extra 1 to 2 inches of rainfall through that general area throughout the rest of the afternoon today, tapering off by maybe 5, no later than 7 or 8 o'clock this evening once the sun begins to set and we lose what daytime heating we were able to obtain during the first half of your Monday. So thank you all so much for tuning in. We're going to close out this live discussion. I just wanted to break live for you all to get you the latest information. Definitely did not see this coming, at least this early. Actually, I take that back. I don't know why I even said that. Definitely saw the threat for flash flooding, but in terms of when it was finally going to hit, I didn't think it was going to hit this fast earlier today. I thought we were going to have to see a bit of a more persistent stream of rain coming in through Brevard and Volusia County, but I'm glad that National Weather Service pulled the trigger when they did to get that lead time as best as we can, and hopefully we won't see any major flooding out there. And if you are watching this after the fact or are tuned in on YouTube or on News 6 Plus, drop us a line. Let me know what you're seeing. Let us at the weather team here know what you're seeing. Let us know in the comments over on YouTube. Drop us an email. You can find all of our emails over on your weather newsletter that goes out every Thursday. Just pull up an old iteration, drop us a line, let us know what's going on out there, because it doesn't seem like we have any spotters to really confirm anything just yet. Let me turn that on real quick. And yeah, it doesn't look like we have anybody out there right now reporting. So I'm going to do some more digging over on the National Weather Service website. Go kind of just take a gander outside myself, because they say there's nothing better in weather forecasting sometimes than simply looking out your window. And we'll talk to you all again very soon. Stay safe. Again, we've got a break from the rain coming, and then potentially a first glance at what the fall season could look like here in Central Florida coming right at us this weekend, which I'm ecstatic for. But until next time, folks, this is the Digital Weather Center, signing out.